HTC Panache. This just showed up today, and I'm very excited to take a look at it. So let's do it. You have this very unique HTC style boxing. Now the specs of the device are going to be pretty familiar to anybody who's seen the MyTouch 4G series. You don't really need to see what's in the box. It's just basically, you know, the regular stuff. Let's push that to the side. Okay, so you have a 3.8-inch capacitive display. It's running a 1 GHz second generation Snapdragon 8255 processor, 768 megs of RAM. It's running a 1.1 gig of internal storage, 5 megapixel camera with LED flash, and obviously AWS 3G connectivity, which is unique on a Sense phone. I think this is the first AWS Sense phone ever released, so that's pretty cool. This is running Android 2.3.3 with Sense 2.1, and let's take a look at it. So first of all, we have these 4 hardware buttons on the bottom, including this little touchpad here that will be familiar to anybody with the G1 or any of the older Android devices. We don't really have these very much anymore because we rely more on touching the screen for selection now that Gingerbread has better text selection support. On the left hand side we have this very low profile volume rocker, but it's got some nice feedback. We also have a micro USB port. On the bottom we have a microphone, and on the right side we have a dedicated camera button, which is really nice to see. It's halfway down to focus, all the way down to take the shot, and I'll show you that software in a second. We have a 3.5mm headphone jack and a power button on the top. On the back of the device we have this 5 megapixel camera and an LED flash, and the battery cover is made of anodized aluminum, so it's really nice and sturdy, does not creak at all, and certainly gives some much appreciated heft to the device and makes the device feel very premium. There is a 1400 milliamp battery here, and that should last through the day, if not a bit more. You also have an 8 GB micro SD card included with the device, and obviously you have your SIM card slot here, but you cannot unfortunately remove without removing the battery. But that is not the end of the world. So let's do a little software tour. But I just want to comment on how awesome this feels in the hand. This is a really premium product, and it definitely needs to be at $499.99. But certainly weighs a little bit more than most plastic Android phones, and certainly weighs a little bit more than the equivalent Nexus S. You see here the Nexus S is a 4-inch device, whereas the Panache here is a 3.8-inch, and you can see the AMOLED screen versus the regular TFT LCD display, and we'll show you that in a second. So just a quick comparison here. Pretty much the same thickness, back of the device. I really like the Panache, actually. I think that it's got some panache, what can I say? I'm not very unique with my adjectives. So we have Mobilicity here, we have HTC Sense running Sense 2.1 on Android 2.3.3 and all of the added benefits of said upgrade, and you have your recently used apps here. You have your quick settings, which is always appreciated. Just get right in there, and let's show you the About phone here. HTC Sense 2.1 running Android version 2.3.3. This is a new build specifically made for the Panache, and we don't know whether it's hackable yet. I'm sure we will find out if there's enough demand. But obviously we can look at what battery's been used, and this is a cool addition to Gingerbread. You can see the chart of your battery and what's been using it, phone signal, GPS, or different specific apps. So that's that. You also have your cool features such as, let's see here, you can use internet calling, you can disable home country when roaming, so that's convenient. You also have your caller ID stuff there. Let's look at here. So when you turn it to normal, you have the ability to quiet the ring when you pick up the phone, so it'll actually detect it when you pick it up, and it'll quiet the ring because it knows that you're looking at it. It has a pocket mode, which will increase the ring volume when the sensor detects when you're in a pocket, and if you get a phone call, you just flip it over to turn off the speaker. Now these are features that were implemented in Sense 2.1, certainly much appreciated. Now everything else is pretty standard. You get your HTC widgets, you get your helicopter view here where you can pick a different home screen. You have 7 in all. The nice thing also about this phone is the new camera software. You have your standard HTC. You can focus, touch the screen to focus, or you can use this camera button here, halfway down and then all the way. Now photos are taken very quickly. The nice thing as well is that you have this button here to turn it around. So that's me. And it's a VGA front-facing camera, not the best quality, but certainly better than not having one at all. And also here we have the video quality, and you can see that you can record in HD 720p, which is very cool. And the same thing goes here. You just hold halfway down to focus, take the video here, and then you can refocus just like on an iPhone. You can also zoom in while you're recording, which is very convenient. So then you use one of these hardware buttons to return back to the home screen. I do have to say that I appreciate the home button placement on the left-hand side and the menu button next to it. I really do appreciate that these are lined up the way that I like them. You can see also that it's a different schema to the Nexus S. I'm not sure why, but that's just the way it is with Android phones today. So let's see what can I talk about. That's pretty much it. I mean, if you've seen a Sense phone, you've seen it all, and you know, it supports your different HTC widgets. You can purchase new ringtones. You can do add an alarm. I'm reaching here because really, I mean, you don't want to see the software. Everybody's seen Sense. What can I say about the phone? I think that on Mobilicity, this is probably your best bet. The one thing that I would have to comment on is its color reproduction, and that's just when you see it compared here to the Nexus S, you can see. Actually, let me just turn the brightness on the Nexus S all the way up so that we can get a fair comparison. So you see the colors on the Nexus S much more vivid, much brighter. Black levels on the Panache are not great, and certainly if you are a stickler for viewing angles, you can see that color is just, actually that's a white screen. Let's go back here. You can see that color is definitely washed out the more you turn the phone, whereas on the Super AMOLED display of the Nexus S, colors are not only more accurate, but don't wash out as much. Now that's just something you have to keep in mind when you're purchasing the device. There are advantages to having the Panache over the Nexus S. The specs themselves are much better. You have 768 megs of RAM here, as opposed to 512, and I could say that the camera is arguably better on the Panache. But honestly, I like the phone. I like the camera on the Nexus S. I think overall, if you like Sense, you like the experience that Sense gives you. If you've had another phone on a different network and you're coming, say, from Rogers or Bell or Telus, and you had an HTC phone previously, you'll feel very comfortable going with the Panache. And this is certainly the highest-end Android phone available on Mobilicity in terms of actually quality of the hardware. So keep that in mind when you are spending your $500. What do you want? Do you want a developer phone such as the Nexus S, which you can tweak, or do you want the kind of straightforward Sense experience that you get with HTC? So that's just a quick overview of the Panache, and that's on Mobilicity. Thanks so much for watching.